Have you ever stood up from a chair and noticed your legs don't feel as steady as they used to? You're not alone. Research shows that after age 60, we lose muscle strength at nearly 3 times the rate we did in our 40s and 50s. And here's the surprising part. Much of this weakness isn't just from aging itself, but from missing nutrients that directly fuel your muscles and nerves. Now imagine this. Studies reveal that seniors who correct even a single vitamin deficiency can double their lower body strength in just weeks. That's right, vitamins, not just workouts, play a pivotal role in keeping your legs strong, your balance steady, and your independence intact. Why does this matter? Because your legs are more than just a way to move around. They're your foundation for living freely, for walking with confidence, climbing stairs, and avoiding the falls that account for over 3 million emergency room visits every year among people over 60. Leg strength is, quite literally, the gateway to independence. Here's what the research shows. Your muscle fibers don't just run on protein. They rely on specific vitamins to fire your nerves, repair tissue, and convert food into usable energy. Without these nutrients, your muscles weaken, no matter how many steps you take. So in today's video, we're going to break down the 3 essential vitamins that science has proven to be game changers for leg strength in seniors. I'll explain not just what they are, but why they work, what's happening in your muscles and your brain when you get enough of them. And more importantly, I'll share simple ways to integrate them into your daily routine so you can see improvements faster. Stay with me until the end, because the last vitamin we'll cover is often overlooked, yet research shows it can improve leg function and balance even in people over 80. Most doctors don't talk about it, but it may be the missing link you've been searching for. So, if you want stronger legs, better mobility, and the confidence to move like you used to, let's begin. Let's start with a vitamin you've probably heard of, but may not realize just how essential it is for leg strength. Vitamin D. Now, here's something fascinating. Your muscles don't just rely on protein for growth. They actually have special receptors, called vitamin D receptors, sitting right inside the muscle fibers. When vitamin D binds to these receptors, it activates gene expression that literally tells your muscle cells grow stronger, repair faster, and fire more efficiently. Without enough vitamin D, those receptors stay silent, and your muscle cells simply don't perform at their best. This is why low vitamin D levels have been strongly linked with weak legs, slower walking speed, and a much higher risk of falls in seniors. In fact, a study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that older adults with vitamin D deficiency were nearly twice as likely to experience muscle weakness and impaired balance. Another clinical trial showed that supplementing with vitamin D improved lower body strength and reaction time within just 12 weeks. So what's happening inside the body? Think of vitamin D as the spark plug for your muscles. When you want to stand up, climb stairs, or catch yourself from stumbling, your brain sends electrical signals through your nerves. But if vitamin D is missing, that signal loses power, like a weak battery struggling to start a car. When levels are restored, the communication between your brain and muscles becomes much more efficient. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Vitamin D doesn't just impact your muscle fibers, it also influences your balance by affecting the vestibular system, the inner ear mechanism that helps you stay upright. This is why people with adequate vitamin D aren't just stronger, they're steadier on their feet. So how much vitamin D do you actually need? Many experts recommend checking blood levels first, since deficiency is extremely common in people over 60, especially in those who don't get much sun exposure. The goal is typically to maintain a blood level of around 30 to 50 nanograms per milliliter. Practically speaking, that often means supplementing with 1,000 to 2,000 IU daily, though some may require more if their levels are very low. Always check with your doctor before starting high doses, and here's a simple tool to apply. Take vitamin D with a meal that contains fat, something like eggs, salmon, or even a spoonful of olive oil. Vitamin D is fat-soluble, which means your body absorbs it far better when paired with dietary fat. Without this, much of your supplement could pass right through without benefit. Now you might be wondering, how soon can you expect to feel a difference? Research suggests that seniors who correct low vitamin D levels often notice improved energy and steadier legs within a couple of months. One study in older women showed measurable gains in leg strength tests after just 8 weeks of consistent supplementation. Think about it this way. Your legs are like an engine, and vitamin D is part of the ignition system. Without it, the engine sputters. With it, your muscles fire more smoothly, giving you the strength to move with confidence. So, if you've been feeling a little wobbly when standing up, or if climbing stairs feels harder than it used to, don't just blame age. Check your vitamin D. Optimizing this one vitamin could be the first step toward reclaiming leg strength and preventing the falls that rob so many people of their independence. Before we move on, I'd love to know, do you currently take vitamin D? And if so, have you noticed any difference in your energy or strength? Let me know in the comments below. Your story might inspire someone else watching today. Now let's talk about a vitamin that often hides in plain sight, vitamin B12. Most people think of B12 as an energy vitamin, but its real power lies in how it protects and fuels your nervous system. And since every movement, from standing to walking to climbing stairs, begins with a signal from your nerves to your muscles, you can see why this nutrient is so critical for strong legs. Here's the science. Your nerves are coated in a fatty layer called myelin, which acts like insulation around an electrical wire. This insulation allows nerve signals to travel quickly and smoothly. Vitamin B12 is one of the key building blocks of myelin. Without it, the insulation breaks down, nerve conduction slows, and the message from your brain to your legs gets scrambled. The result: weakness, tingling, or even a sensation like your legs are falling asleep. In fact, one study from neurology showed that seniors with low B12 were far more likely to experience gait problems and balance issues. When those deficiencies were corrected, many participants regained steadier walking and improved leg function. Think of it this way: if vitamin D is the spark plug for your muscles, vitamin B12 is the wiring system. You can have the best spark plug in the world, but if the wires are frayed, the signal doesn't get through. Now here's what's especially concerning. Studies estimate that up to 20% of adults over 60 are B12 deficient, often without knowing it. Why? Because as we age, our stomach produces less acid, which is required to extract B12 from food. That means even if you're eating meat, fish, or dairy, the main sources of B12, your body may not be absorbing it efficiently. So, what can you do? First, be aware of symptoms beyond weak legs. Numbness in the hands or feet, memory lapses, and persistent fatigue are all classic warning signs of B12 deficiency. Blood tests can confirm it, and the good news is that supplementation works remarkably well. A simple tool is to take B12 in the form of methylcobalamin or cyanocobalamin lozenges, which dissolve under the tongue. This bypasses the stomach and allows direct absorption into the bloodstream. Many seniors find this route more effective than relying on food alone. And timing matters. Take B12 in the morning because it supports energy production and can sometimes make people feel too alert if taken late in the day. Clinical studies back this up. Older adults who corrected low B12 levels showed significant improvement not just in walking speed, but also in reaction time and coordination, two things that directly reduce fall risk. Imagine feeling like your legs are responding more quickly, like the signal between your brain and muscles is back online. That's the gift of B12. Now, before I share the next vitamin, which is often overlooked but may be the biggest game changer for bone and muscle synergy, let me pause for just a second. If you're finding these insights helpful, consider subscribing to the channel. That way you won't miss the next videos where we break down more science-based tools to keep you strong, sharp, and independent. And if you're already subscribed, thank you. You're part of a growing community committed to better living through science. So here's the takeaway. If your legs feel heavy, weak, or unsteady, it may not just be your muscles, it could be your nerves crying out for B12. Correcting this deficiency can help restore that vital brain-to-muscle connection, giving you back the confidence to move freely. If vitamin D and B12 are the spark plug and the wiring system for your muscles, then vitamin K2 is like the architect that makes sure the building blocks of your body are placed in the right spots. And when it comes to strong legs, this one is a game changer. Most people have heard of vitamin K1, the nutrient in leafy greens that helps with blood clotting. But vitamin K2 is different. Its role is to direct calcium to where it belongs, into your bones and teeth, and away from places it shouldn't be, like your arteries or soft tissues. Here's why that matters for your legs. Strong muscles can only function when they're attached to strong, resilient bones. Think of your bones as the frame of a house and your muscles as the walls. Without a solid frame, the walls can't stand firm. Vitamin K2 ensures calcium strengthens your bones, especially the hips, knees, and legs, the very structures that give you stability and power. A landmark study published in the European Journal of Nutrition found that seniors who consumed adequate vitamin K2 had significantly better bone density and a lower risk of fractures. But here's the twist: K2 doesn't just affect bones. It also strengthens the tendons and ligaments where your muscles anchor, creating a more stable base for leg strength. Even more fascinating, when vitamin K2 works alongside vitamin D, the benefits multiply. Vitamin D increases calcium absorption, while K2 ensures that calcium goes into the bones instead of clogging arteries. Without K2, high vitamin D and calcium intake can sometimes backfire. Together, they act like a tag team for skeletal and muscular health. Now, you might be wondering, where do you actually get vitamin K2? Unlike K1, which is abundant in leafy greens, K2 is mostly found in fermented foods and certain animal products. The richest source is a Japanese food called natto, fermented soybeans. It's incredibly high in K2, but it has a strong taste that not everyone enjoys. More accessible sources include aged cheeses, grass-fed butter, egg yolks, and chicken thighs, and of course, supplementation is an option, typically in the form of MK7, the form that stays active in the body the longest. A practical tool here: if you're taking vitamin D, pair it with K2. Many high-quality supplements now combine the two for this exact reason. For seniors aiming to improve leg strength and bone resilience, this pairing is one of the smartest, science-backed steps you can take. Let me give you an analogy. Imagine calcium as bricks for building a house. Vitamin D helps you collect more bricks, but vitamin K2 is the builder who places them into the walls. Without K2, those bricks might end up scattered in the yard, or worse, clogging the driveway. With K2, every brick strengthens the foundation, your bones and joints. One study in older women showed that supplementing with vitamin K2 not only improved bone density, but also reduced knee pain and improved walking speed. That's not just theory, that's real, measurable impact on daily mobility. So, if you've been focusing only on calcium and vitamin D, you may be missing the third part of the equation. By adding K2, you're not just protecting against fractures, you're actively creating stronger legs, better joint stability, and more confident movement. Before we move on, I'd love to know, have you ever even heard of vitamin K2 before? This video, drop a comment below. It'll be interesting to see how many of us are learning about this nutrient for the first time. So far, we've talked about 3 powerful vitamins, D, B12, and K2, but here's something crucial: vitamins don't work in isolation. They're more like conductors in an orchestra, and the main instruments they direct are amino acids. From protein, without protein, the vitamins can't fully do their job of strengthening your legs. Here's what the research shows. After 60, our muscles become less responsive to protein intake, a phenomenon called anabolic resistance. In simple terms, it means you need a little more protein than you did in your 20s or 30s to get the same muscle-building effect. And here's where vitamins play a storing role. They act as the keys that unlock protein's ability to repair and grow muscle fibers. For example, vitamin D helps regulate the genes that turn protein into new muscle tissue. B12 ensures oxygen is delivered efficiently, because those amino acids can be used for energy and repair. K2 strengthens the bone structures where those new muscles attach. Without protein, the vitamins don't have raw material to work with. Without vitamins, the protein can't activate fully. They are partners. Think of it like baking bread. Protein is the flour, the main ingredient. But vitamins are the yeast, the activator that makes it rise. Without both, you're left with a flat, heavy loaf that doesn't perform. So how much protein should you aim for? Studies from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition suggest that older adults often need 1.2 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day to maintain and build muscle. For a person weighing 150 pounds, that's about 80 to 100 grams of protein daily, spread across meals that might look like 25 to 30 grams at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And here's a simple tool to apply. Try combining protein-rich foods with your vitamin-rich choices. For instance, have eggs protein plus B12 with a side of spinach cooked in olive oil, vitamin K1, some K2, and fat to help with D absorption. Or salmon protein plus vitamin D with a bit of sauerkraut, fermented food source of K2. These natural pairings amplify each other. Now, I know some people over 60 worrying about too much protein harming the kidneys, but here's the truth. In healthy seniors, higher protein intake has consistently been shown to protect muscle mass and mobility without causing harm. Of course, if you have kidney disease, always follow your doctor's guidance, but for most, the risk of muscle loss from too little protein is far greater than the risk of too much. Here's something I'd like you to reflect on. Have you noticed that after a protein-rich meal, like chicken, fish, or beans, your energy and strength feel more stable compared to when you eat just bread or pasta? That's your body giving you a clear signal about what it needs. Before we dive into the next principle, which will reveal how your body's internal energy factories, the mitochondria, control stamina in your legs, let me pause for just a moment. If these science-backed tools are helping you connect the dots about your health, please take a second to subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss these kinds of practical, research-driven insights. And if you know someone over 60 who struggles with leg weakness, share this video with them. You could be the reason they regain confidence in their mobility. So here's the takeaway. Protein is the raw material. Vitamins are the activators. When you bring them together, you create the perfect environment for stronger legs, steadier balance, and more energy to live life fully. Imagine for a moment that your muscles are cars. Protein is the bodywork and frame, vitamins are the spark plugs and wiring, but without fuel and an engine to burn it, that car isn't going anywhere. Inside every muscle cell are tiny power plants called mitochondria, and they are the engines that keep your legs moving. Mitochondria take the food you eat and turn it into ATP, the energy currency that every muscle fiber runs on. Here's the catch. Mitochondria don't work alone. They rely on vitamins and minerals as cofactors, small helper molecules that allow energy production to happen smoothly. Think of cofactors as the oil in your car engine. Without oil, the engine overheats and slows down. Without vitamins like B12, D, and K2, plus others like magnesium and CoQ10, your mitochondria can't generate enough ATP. And the result is muscle fatigue, sluggishness, and weak legs. This explains a common frustration I hear from people over 60. I'm eating well and I'm walking every day, but I still feel weak. Often, the missing piece isn't effort, it's mitochondrial support. Research backs this up. A study in Frontiers in Physiology showed that seniors with higher mitochondrial function had greater walking speed, more endurance, and less leg fatigue. Another trial found that correcting B12 deficiency significantly improved mitochondrial activity, leading to better muscle strength and faster recovery after exercise. Now, here's a fascinating connection. Vitamin D also supports mitochondria by reducing oxidative stress, essentially lowering the rust that wears down the engine, and vitamin K to helps maintain healthy blood vessels, ensuring mitochondria get the oxygen and nutrients they need to keep producing energy. So how do you support your mitochondria? Here are a few simple tools. 1. Prioritize nutrients that fuel energy production. Make sure your vitamin D, B12, and K2 levels are supported, but also pay attention to magnesium-rich foods like nuts, seeds, and leafy greens, which are essential cofactors for ATP production. 2. Move daily, even gently. Mitochondria respond to use. Just 20 minutes of walking, light resistance exercise, or even chair-based movements signals your body to make more mitochondria. More engines equal more energy. 3. Support sleep quality. Most mitochondrial repair happens at night. Poor sleep leaves your muscles drained, no matter how many supplements you take. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of consistent, high-quality rest. Here's an analogy that makes it simple. Imagine your leg muscles as a fleet of buses carrying passengers. If you only have a few buses low mitochondrial count, and those buses are old and breaking down, poor mitochondrial function, your system can't transport people effectively. But when you maintain your mitochondria with vitamins, movement, and rest, suddenly you've got a full fleet of well-maintained buses, all running smoothly. That's when your legs start to feel lighter, steadier, and more powerful. Have you ever noticed that when you're low on energy, your legs are the first to give out? That's not a coincidence. It's your mitochondria struggling to keep up with demand. By fueling and protecting them, you're giving your body the foundation to stay active well into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. So, don't think of leg strength as just a muscle problem. It's also an energy problem. And when you give your mitochondria what they need, your legs can do things you may not have thought possible again. We've covered the vitamins, the protein synergy, and even the mitochondria that power your muscles. Now comes the most important part. How do you put this into practice, day by day, so you actually see results? Because here's the truth. It's not enough to know what works. The people who regain strength in their legs, improve balance, and move with confidence are the ones who take the science and build it into a consistent routine. Let's start with timing, because when you take your vitamins can make a difference. Vitamin D is best absorbed with a meal that contains fat, something as simple as eggs, avocado, or a drizzle of olive oil. Morning or midday works best for most people, since vitamin D can also support energy and mood through its effects on brain chemistry. Vitamin B12 should be taken earlier in the day, ideally with breakfast, because it boosts energy metabolism and helps nerves fire efficiently. Taking it too late can sometimes interfere with restful sleep. Sublingual forms lozenges that dissolve under the tongue are especially helpful for absorption after 60. Vitamin K2 is fat-soluble like vitamin D, so pairing them together makes perfect sense. If you're using a combined supplement, D plus K2, take it with your largest meal of the day. This ensures the fat in the meal helps carry both nutrients into your bloodstream. Next, let's connect these to protein. Aim to distribute protein evenly across meals, around 25 to 30 grams per meal, instead of saving your protein for dinner. Try having eggs or Greek yogurt at breakfast, fish or beans at lunch, and chicken, tofu, or lentils at dinner. Each time you eat protein, you're handing your muscles the raw materials they need, and the vitamins you're taking act like catalysts to make sure that protein is put to work. Here's a simple example of how a day could look. Morning breakfast with scrambled eggs, spinach, and a slice of whole grain toast. Take your B12 here. Midday, grilled salmon salad with olive oil dressing. Take vitamin D and K2 with this meal. Evening, lentil stew or chicken with vegetables. This rounds out your protein intake and gives your body the building blocks for overnight repair, layer in movement, even if it's just light chair exercises, resistance bands, or a short walk after meals. Every bit of activity signals your muscles and mitochondria to use these nutrients for repair and growth. Nutrition and movement are partners. One without the other is like fueling a car but never starting the engine, and don't underestimate rest. Sleep is when your body consolidates these changes, repairing muscle fibers, replenishing energy, and strengthening neural pathways. Aim for consistency, going to bed and waking up at the same times each day. Now, let me ask you this. Which part of this routine feels most doable for you right now? Is it adjusting your supplement timing, adding more protein, or simply taking a daily walk? Share it in the comments. You'll not only solidify your own plan, but inspire others in this community to take action too. Here's the takeaway. Small, consistent changes compound. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Just aligning your vitamins with your meals, balancing protein across the day, and adding a bit of movement will, over weeks, create stronger legs, more energy, and greater confidence in your independence. And remember, the final step is consistency. Science works, but only when applied daily. We've covered a lot today, so let's bring it all together. The big picture here is this. Stronger legs after 60 are not just about exercise, though movement is vital. They're about giving your body the tools it needs to function at its best, and those tools are very often hidden in plain sight. Vitamins and nutrients that activate your muscles, protect your nerves, strengthen your bones, and fuel your energy. We began with vitamin D, the muscle activator. It's the spark plug that allows your brain to communicate effectively with your muscles. Without it, your legs feel heavy and unresponsive. With it, you regain steadiness, strength, and quicker reactions. Then we explored vitamin B12, the nerve protector. This vitamin repairs the insulation around your nerves, restoring the smooth flow of electrical signals from your brain to your muscles. If you've been feeling tingling, weakness, or even memory lapses, B12 may be the missing link. And of course, we uncovered vitamin K2, the hidden strength booster. It ensures calcium is placed where it belongs, building resilient bones and stable joints so your muscles have a strong foundation to pull against. Paired with vitamin D, K2 turns your skeletal system into a fortress of support. But we didn't stop there. Because science shows that nutrients never work in isolation. That's why we looked at the protein synergy principle, reminding us that vitamins are the activators, but protein is the raw material. Without both, your progress stalls. We then zoomed in on mitochondria, your cellular engines. By protecting and fueling these tiny power plants, you don't just get stronger legs, you gain endurance, vitality, and a renewed sense of energy for daily life. And finally, we laid out the daily integration protocol, the practical steps for when and how to take your vitamins, how to pair them with meals, how to balance protein, and how to combine all of this with light movement and quality sleep. Because information is just potential, transformation only comes from consistent, daily action. So here's my challenge for you. Choose one tool from today and put it into practice starting tomorrow morning. Maybe it's checking your vitamin D and pairing it with a fatty meal. Maybe it's adding an extra serving of protein at breakfast. Or maybe it's simply taking a 10-minute walk after lunch to wake up your mitochondria. Pick one, do it, and notice how your body responds over the next 2 weeks. Why does this matter so much? Because leg strength is not just about muscles. It's about independence, confidence, and quality of life. Every step you take with stronger legs is a step toward freedom. The freedom to walk without fear of falling, to play with grandkids, to climb stairs with ease, and to keep doing the things that make life rich and meaningful. Now I'd love to hear from you. Which of these vitamins or tools surprised you the most? Drop your answer in the comments. Your insight might be exactly what another person watching needs to hear. And if this video gave you value, please like it so more people can discover these science-backed tools. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss future videos on brain health, muscle strength, and practical science for living well after 60. We're building a community here. People who aren't willing to settle for decline, but who are committed to growing stronger, sharper, and more resilient with each passing year. I invite you to be part of it, because remember, Age is not just about the number of years you've lived, it's about the strength, clarity, and energy you carry into each day. And with the right tools, you can keep those legs strong and keep moving forward confidently and on your own terms.